Well, I think it's no secret that CNN has been struggling quite heavily with its image as of late. One with the threatening the guy who made the Donald Trump CNN meme, and then the whole thing about basically having their personalities admit that the Trump-Russia scandal doesn't really have any meat to it whatsoever. Well, now it appears CNN is screwed up once again. CNN is trying to distance itself from a propagandist for al-Qaeda who helped the network create a documentary in Syria. The man's ties to the terrorist network are just the latest in a series of scandals that have done a large amount of damage to CNN's credibility, and it's been really hammered as of late. Now, yet another controversy has embattled the network as has come to light in the making of its award-winning Undercover in Syria documentary. The documentary revolves around CNN reporter Clarissa Ward's so-called undercover trip to portions of Aleppo that pushed for Western intervention in Syria. And they placed the blame for the city's suffering on Russia, Syrian, and Iran, because they're the ones coming to the aid of the Syrian government. Now, after the documentary aired, Ward invited the then U.S. ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power, to testify on her experience in the so-called rebel-held territories of Aleppo. However, CNN hired a known member of the terrorist group al-Qaeda, Bilal Abdul Karim, in order to obtain the on-the-ground footage used in the documentary to assist Ward in gaining access to the so-called rebel territories. A feat that had claimed the lives of other journalists, yet somehow this guy just got through, really easily. In addition, the network has recently sought to distance themselves from him, from its key source on the ground after the documentary started picking up awards. So once this really started getting taken seriously, they're trying to sweep this al-Qaeda guy under the rug, because people do know that Karim is a propagandist for al-Qaeda. He has been used all throughout the Syrian conflict as a so-called journalist who would frequently call into stations like CNN and Saudi-backed television programs to give so-called coverage on the ongoing conflict, particularly with regards to alleged chemical attacks. However, Karim is a bit upset about his key role in the documentary going unacknowledged. In June, he took to Twitter, writing the piece that he filmed with CNN Undercover in Syria won overseas press club and Peabody Awards, but CNN forgot to mention him. He says, but he's still smiling.
There was a piece that I did along with the other members of OGN staff called Undercover in Syria. This was with CNN and their correspondent Clarissa Ward, which I have big time respect for. Big time respect as a journalist and as a person. Now, this Undercover in Syria, and you can Google it, it won the prestigious Peabody Award, and it won the prestigious Overseas Press Club Award, which are basically the highest awards in journalism for international reporting. Now, they barely mentioned my name. I'm telling you, somehow CNN must have forgotten that I was the one that filmed it. I guess they forgot that. Okay, but hey, no big deal. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes.
Now, given Karim's role in the documentary, the fact that it was hardly mentioned in the Peabody Awards press release is certainly unusual. You'd think the guy who actually really gathered up on-the-ground footage would get some kind of acknowledgement for a situation like this. However, CNN likely didn't forget Karim. And instead, they intentionally chose to exclude his name from the documentary once it gained fame. Karim is a known English-language propagandist for Jabhat al-Nusra, also known as the al-Nusra Front, the Syrian branch of al-Qaeda. Yes, the guy literally does do propaganda for al-Qaeda inside of Syria, one of the American-backed so-called moderate rebels. Now, Karim was not always an al-Qaeda propagandist. An American citizen from Mount Vermont in New York who later moved to Egypt, Karim had a background in comedy and theater that proved useful following his hire by the Saudi-funded Huda TV and later the creation of his own media group. on-the-ground news which has focused on the Syrian conflict and producing propaganda against the Syrian government. Now, while Karim has officially denied being a member of al-Qaeda, he does have privileged access to the al-Nusra Front, its members, its territories, and this all seems to indicate much of the opposite. Indeed, the same video where he denies ties to al-Qaeda, Karim states the reason he has not faced the same dangers as other journalists who have gone into the al-Nusra territory is because of a mutual respect between him and the terrorist group. So it really seems like he's lying. He's very much a part of al-Qaeda in Syria. He is basically a media puppet of al-Qaeda, and he was being given leading roles by CNN. Now, CNN's credibility is almost mud as it is, but to add having an al-Qaeda propagandist doing your documentaries is just completely inexcusable. I mean, he's been a tool since practically the beginning of the Syrian conflict, and this does once again show U.S. imperialism's complicit nature with terrorism, using it against countries that don't carry out their interests, using them to try to produce the at least the media material necessary to demonize the sovereign government of Bashar al-Assad, the official, recognized, legitimate government in Syria, hoping to discredit it in order to get world opinion on the side of U.S. imperialism to try to destroy it. This is just another example of why CNN is almost a laughingstock within the mainstream media circles. And frankly, if I were them, I would be trying to deny links to al-Qaeda as well. I'm just wondering if the U.S. government might decide to investigate CNN for this. Perhaps maybe find the people who have been giving al-Qaeda money and giving them a platform which to speak, and possibly charge them with aiding terrorism. But then again, the U.S. government would have to turn around and charge itself. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.